Welcome everyone to this afternoon's business meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to ask everyone to please bow your head for a moment of silent reflection. Amen. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Minges.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Staff proposes as our next agenda meeting for Tuesday, December 10th at 2 o'clock.
Thank you. Tuesday, that's a little different from normal, so everybody make note of that. Tuesday the 10th at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
On our utilities agenda, item number 1, docket number 2022E, we have a petition to intervene.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the petition to intervene filed on behalf of CM Steel, South Carolina. So move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Hamilton's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 2, docket number 2019-326E, we have a petition to intervene.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Belser.
I move that the Commission grant the petition to intervene filed on behalf of the South Carolina Solar Business Alliance. So move.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Belser's motion. Questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 3, docket number 2019-340E, Duke Energy Progress is seeking approval of the transfer and sale of property in Asheville, North Carolina.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Whitfield.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion concerning the application of Duke Energy Progress, LLC for approval of the transfer and sale of property in Asheville, North Carolina. The property consists of certain real estate that is not required for DEP's current utility operations. It was originally purchased to build a substation, but it was later decided that another location would be more appropriate, and the property became surplus. Mr. Chairman, the property comprises 5.4 acres of 2 adjoining parcels of land located adjacent to a public housing development known as Lee Walker Heights, which is owned by the Asheville Housing Authority. For the past few years, the Asheville Housing Authority has been in the process of redeveloping Lee Walker Heights, and the city believes the redevelopment project would be more successful if it could acquire property that is the subject of this application in order to assure its development as a mixed-use and mixed-income project that would connect to and complement the Lee Walker Heights development. Mr. Chairman, on October the 11th, 2017, DEP entered into an agreement with the city of Asheville that it would give the city the option to purchase the property. The city exercised that option on July 22nd, 2019, and DEP is seeking approval under that option to sell the property for $5,300,000. Mr. Chairman, the property was purchased by DEP in 2014 for $5,300,000. And the property was appraised for $5,250,000 in January 2014. The net book value of the property is $5,313,940. The original cost of the property being sold will be credited as a reduction of the amount, carried up on the books, as a reduction of the amount carried up on the books of DEP under account 101, which is electric plant in service. Mr. Chairman, the company represents that the proposed sale and transfer of the property will have no impact upon the utility's ability to provide reliable electric service to its customers at just and reasonable rates. The Commission has received no objection to the proposed sale and transfer of the property. Also, Mr. Chairman, I would note the Office of Regulatory Staff recommends approval of the request. So, therefore, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the application. So moved.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Whitfield's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 4, docket number 2018-320E. We have a request for a procedural schedule.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin.
I move that we approve the request for confidential treatment of Duke Energy Progress' second amended 2019 financing plan, as Duke asserts that the financing plan contains all planned securities issuances during the calendar year and also contains market-sensitive, confidential, and proprietary information that could impact Duke's financing cost. So moved. Yeah. Okay. I apologize. Getting ahead of myself here. We'll go back to 4. Excuse me. I move that we grant the Solar Business Alliance's request. We ask that the parties provide their positions in a proposed procedural schedule that allows interested parties to participate. The Commission will then issue a scheduling order after reviewing and receiving the parties' submissions. So moved.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Irvin's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 5, docket number 2019-331E. This matter concerns issues regarding Duke's motion to dismiss.
Commissioner Howard.
Chairman, on October the 17th of 2019, Mr. McMillan requested 120 days, or roughly 17 weeks, to file testimony and/or amend complaint. 7 weeks elapsed since that request. I move we grant Mr. McMillan an additional 5 weeks from the date of this motion to January the 8th to make the amended filing. At that time, Duke may withdraw or renew its motion to dismiss. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Howard's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 6, docket number 2011-158E. We have a request for confidential treatment.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request for confidential treatment of Duke Progress' second amended 2019 financial plan, as Duke has asserted that the financing plan contains all planned securities issuances during the calendar year and also contains market-sensitive, confidential, and proprietary information that could impact Duke's financing costs. So moved.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Irvin's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 7, docket number 2014-346-WS. A request for hearing with limited to oral arguments has been filed.
May the record reflect that I am recused on this docket, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Belzer. You are recused, and we will reflect that in the record.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion on the docket.
Commissioner Howard.
Chairman, DIUC requests the Commission set a limited hearing for oral arguments for the parties and asserts that further testimony of evidence are not necessary. I move we request that ORS provide the Commission with its position on whether or not further evidentiary hearings or proceedings should be required. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Howard's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, items 8 and 9 and items 12 through 15 in docket number 2019-298 WS can be taken together. These items concern a request for public night hearings.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion concerning all the items that Mr. Minges just referenced, items 8 and 9 and 12 through 15. Mr. Chairman, I would note that the Commission, we have already approved a night hearing in Irmo. We've done that, ruled on that previously. So, Mr. Chairman, regarding the other items, and I'm just going to briefly mention who's requested. In item 8, we have a request from Senator Wes Clymer as chairman of the York County Legislative Delegation. And item 9, we have a request from ORS and Michael D. Watson. And item 12, we have a request from the Honorable Katrina Shealy, Honorable Micah Caskey, the Honorable Paula Rawl Calhoun, and the Honorable Chris Wooten to hold a night hearing in Lexington County. And item 13, we have a request from the Honorable Representative Doug Gillum to hold a night hearing in Union County. Item 14, we have a request from the Canterbury Homeowners Association to hold a night hearing in Greenville. And, Mr. Chairman, we have a request on behalf of the Office of Regulatory Staff to hold a night hearing in Anderson County. Mr. Chairman, I move that we direct staff to work with local representatives in all these counties to schedule hearings in each of them, and that we grant night hearings in items 8, 9, and 12 through 15. So moved.
Thank you. All for Blue Granite. Right.
All for Blue Granite, yes, sir, concerning the upcoming Blue Granite water rate case. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard Commissioner Whitfield's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
So that brings us to item number 10, docket number 2019-330 WS. We have a joint request for a main extension agreement.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Belzer.
I move that we approve the joint request for a main extension agreement between Defusky Island Utility Company and the Hague Point Club and Community Association. So move.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Belzer's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 11, docket numbers 2019-184, 185, and 186E. The staff presents for commission deliberation a scheduling matter.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin.
as you know, we made our initial directive regarding these dockets, numbers 2019-184E, 2019-185E, and 2019-186E, which are the avoided costs docket, standard offer methodologies, form contract, power purchase agreements, etc. That directive was voted on and issued November the 15th, 2019 during our commission business meeting. I'm sure that all the parties, the attorneys, and the public would like to know what are the next steps related to the issuance of the commission orders in these cases. The time period to request rehearing, and also when we will rule on any requests for rehearing, if any are made, and then if they're granted, when they will be scheduled. For these relevant dockets, then, Mr. Chairman, we'll break it out at first docket number 2019-184E, which is a Dominion Energy case. It's the first in the order of sequence file, so that the order will be issued first, to be followed by the Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress dockets 2019-185E and 2019-186E. So here's a schedule that I recommend that the Commission adopt. This coming Monday, December the 9th, 2019, an order will be issued in the Dominion Energy docket 2019-184E. The parties will then have up to 10 days to file for rehearing under the statute. No later than Monday, December the 23rd, 2019, an order will be issued in the Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress dockets numbers 2019-185E and 2019-186E, parties will then have up to 10 days to file for rehearing under the statute. And the commission will rule on any motions filed within 20 days of filing. No later than the week of December 30th, 2019, the commission will take up any petitions for rehearing on docket numbers 2019-184E at a publicly noticed commission business meeting. During the weeks of February 3 and February 10, 2020, the commission staff and clerk are instructed to reserve these weeks to offer the parties rehearings if any are granted in these three dockets based on the feedback from the parties regarding such scheduling dates for rehearing. If any are requested, the staff would then have the flexibility to amend those dates as needed. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. You've heard Commissioner Irvin's motion. Are there questions or comments? I know we've had lots of questions from the public about when action would be taken, and we wanted to make sure everybody had a schedule of what we were thinking about through all of these dockets. So if no comments or questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait a minute, 1 second.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just ask Commissioner Irvin for clarification on the week of the 30th. You're saying no later than December 30th, commissioners would take up any potential petitions for rehearing on 184E, and then the 3rd and the 10th of February would be reserved for any rehearings in the any of the three dockets, or if I'm reading you right?
That's the way we had it structured. Did I leave something out?
No, I think I must not have seen 184E in the weeks of February, but
it's in there.
okay. All right.
I thought I covered it.
Thank you.
If not, we'll make the technical correction as needed.
Yeah, I think I think we're covered on everything that we got in that.
Thank you.
I believe. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, turning to our transportation agenda, item number 1, docket number 2019-364T, the application of Brunson Medical Transport, LLC, for a Class C non-emergency certificate.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hamilton.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the application of Brunson Medical Transportation, LLC, for a Class C non-emergency certificate. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Hamilton's motion. Are there questions or comments? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 2, docket number 2017-338T. We have a request to amend.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Whitfield.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant the South Carolina Tariff Bureau Incorporated's request to change language in tariff number 7. Tariff Bureau asserts that this change simply matches the tariff to the method of calculation. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Whitfield's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item number 3, docket number 2019-265T. We have another request to amend.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Howard.
Chairman, I move we grant the request of Derek Campbell, DBA Darren's Transportation, to amend its Class C, that's a non-emergency certificate, that number is 9482, to read 15 passengers. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Howard's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Item number 4, docket number 2014-148T. We have a request to cancel.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Belser.
I move that the commission grant the request of Pendleton Area Rescue Squad Incorporated to cancel Class C non-emergency certificate number 8905. So moved.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Belser's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
We have 3 matters to take up on an administrative agenda, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 on that agenda. This matter concerns the parties' duties and rights under the agreement with Pegasus Global Holdings Incorporated.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin.
on August the 7th, 2019, the Commission entered order number 2019-557 in this docket by way of an order regarding the termination of an agreement with Pegasus Global Holdings Incorporated, also known as PGH. The motion is to now address the final disposition of the parties' duties, rights, and responsibilities under the agreement. The parties to the agreement have agreed to mutually terminate the agreement as of August 1, 2019, and Pegasus Global Holdings Incorporated has agreed to forego all monies that may be due and owing to them for any and all work under the contract agreement subsequent to that date. Therefore, I move that the first and last paragraphs of order number 2019-557 be vacated. So moved.
Thank you. You've heard Commissioner Irvin's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, item number 2, we have a presentation by our Chief Clerk, Jocelyn Boyd, regarding a new telephone system protocol.
Welcome, Ms. Boyd.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners, General Counsel Joseph Melchers. Mr. Chairman, I want to make a short presentation this afternoon regarding PSC communications, and hopefully this will be the first of 2 presentations. We have been tracking, of course, we're always trying to use our resources as best and as efficiently as possible. And so, as you're aware, Mr. Bachman is responsible. He's our public information director, but he's also responsible for our calls, our receptionist, and tracking those calls. And we started this project in February of 19, tracking incoming calls to our main number, 896-5100. We have data that tracks the types of calls we've been receiving for the full month of March through November, and we continue to track the types of calls that we're receiving. So that's one of the reasons that I'd like to make the presentation. The other is for us to make sure that we are capturing our communications regarding dockets, and dockets that not only are pending but are impending. And so I have a proposal, and I'd love to hear your feedback. As I said, this is phase 1. We have a provider for our phone system, internal phone system, and they are under state contract, and we have the flexibility to make changes without waiting until the new fiscal year, the end of the calendar year. So in essence, our plan is to keep our main number, our 896-5100 number, and all telephone calls that are made where the intended recipient of those calls are employees of the Public Service Commission. All those calls will start at our main number. So basically, no one will be able to reach any employee here through their direct number at this time if we implement this new system. All calls will be channeled through our main number. All employees would receive new numbers, which would not be available to the public. So each employee would have a new number. All commissioners, I know that you all rarely receive a call because you have assistants and others who make sure that that you don't. But anyway, everybody would receive a new number. Our main number would remain the same. Our fax numbers would remain the same. None of that would change. So if a person were to call 803, 896, 5100, they would be presented with options. Options would include the first option, if there's a current docket that they're calling about, want information about, or maybe they are a party or a representative in the case. They would be asked to press option 1. And I'll tell you a little bit more about option 1 in a minute. Option number 2 would be for transportation issues, transportation cases. Mr. Chairman, I've totaled the numbers that we have since February. So we started February 7th through February 28th, and then we have complete data for the remaining months through November. And our records indicate that behind the top 2 type calls that we receive through our main number, first would be complaints that we end up redirecting to the Office of Regulatory Staff, and right behind it, at 707 calls, will be transportation cases. So 708 that we were able to track that we direct to ORS, and then 707 are transportation issues. So that would be the second prompt that the caller could use to obtain information about transportation dockets, how to file, what they need to file, where they can obtain the application, so on and so forth. The third would be calls regarding our mission or scope. That would be the third option. The fourth would be complaints against the utility providers, and those calls will be redirected to the Office of Regulatory Staff. And then we also receive calls about issues with our roads. So those calls will be redirected to the Department of Transportation. Okay, regarding the first one, which would be, I think, a brand new process. Unified messaging has existed for several years, and what that does, if a caller leaves a message on our phones, we have the ability, or that call is then recorded, and it's then made into basically an email, transformed into an email, which then there's a wave recording of what was of what the caller said. So our goal here, first of all, is we want to make sure, as I said, that any communications regarding a docket are placed in the docket, and everybody, all stakeholders who might be impacted by that call, no matter how minor it might seem, that information is placed in the docket. So that communication, a matter would be created if it's regarding a docket, and we would inform the caller of that. Basically, if you press 1, the recording would read something like this. Please be aware that commissioners and staff are bound by the Code of Judicial Conduct and are prohibited from participating in ex parte communications. If you have a question regarding a pending docket or a docket that will foreseeably be filed with the commission, please, and then we tell them, leave a message on this unified messaging tool, including your preferred email address. When you leave a message on this line, a transcript of your message will be filed in the docket. You can review your message by visiting our docket management system, and we would give them that site. Provide the caller with the site. So that's the first option I was telling you that. That would be an expansion of what we currently have access to anyway. We would just basically use unified messaging for those calls regarding dockets. And as I said, we want to make sure that the public is aware of the types of calls that we receive regarding dockets. The next option regarding transportation, which I said is the next highest number of calls that we receive at our main number right now, those would be forwarded to our staff who handle transportation dockets. And then the next, the mission and scope will be forwarded to Rob Bachman, our public information director. Option 4, those calls will be forwarded to the Office of Regulatory Staff. And then option 5 for transportation or issues dealing with our roads, Department of Transportation. Also, Mr. Chairman, I forgot, which is most important, for all other issues or to speak directly to a receptionist, that opt-out piece would be, the caller would choose option 6. I don't want to fail to state that there will be an opt-out for if the caller uses option 6. Our vendor that we use for our telephone system has, because I mentioned, okay, we're concerned about our dockets, but everyone may or may not, some individuals may or may not have email addresses. So we need some other way to capture what we're telling, our message regarding a docket. Most importantly, if we can't email the caller, how else can we track what we've said? And so I asked our vendor about that, and I was told, okay, well, right now we do have a feature for basic call recording that would basically record every call on a device. And in the spring of 2020, the feature on-demand call recording will be available. So we can't implement the on-demand call recording at this time until it's available. But as I said, part of my purpose for wanting to speak to you today is we've been tracking the types of calls we've been receiving since the beginning of the year anyway, and wanting to know, okay, is this the best system? We're using our resources as best we can. And then secondly, are we capturing what we need to, the information, the communications regarding the dockets that are before you, and properly noticing everyone fairly and equally. So I wanted to present this plan to you and get your feedback and any questions that you have. Of course, once we implement, if we need to record, and that recording, for example, would have to be made a part of the docket. Everyone on the phone would have to be made aware that the call is being recorded. That's part one.
Thank you. I appreciate all the work that you and Mr. Bachman have been doing on recording, getting the information that we needed to see where the calls were coming in, what's being done. And I think this will be a protection for us, and a little bit better way to have a handle on what's coming in and avoiding any kind of ex parte communication that might be happening. So another part of our transparency initiative, I think. So commissioners, questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Belser.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Boyd.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Belser.
Thank you for the presentation. I jotted a few notes, and I'm not sure if they're going to be in any particular order. But I was glad to hear you say that there would be notice to the caller that the call is or may be recorded, and that's very important. And especially if we get to the point where the transcript is going to be prepared, or the email, or however that's going to be captured. I'm of the opinion that the caller must be advised that their call is being recorded. So, also, I noticed you said that I think it was in one of them. I think it was upon choosing one, the current docket, that you'd be requesting an email address. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Before anything is posted to the docket or the website, or however these records are going to be maintained for others to view, would the email address or any personal information be redacted? I'm concerned also if someone calls in regarding, as an example, a rate case, and suppose they say, my bill's too high, my account number is such and such, and we certainly don't want that kind of information out there. So would someone be able, or we need to potentially look at somebody being able to screen these matters to redact any kind of information that doesn't affect the substance, other than just gives a way to contact that person. So I would make that note. And then on the calls that are transferred to either Office of Regulatory Staff or the Department of Transportation, I would hope that the message would clearly advise the caller that they are being transferred to another agency. And I say that because I've been on the receiving end of a cold dropped call. And usually folks that are calling with a complaint or an issue are a bit upset or harried to begin with, and they feel like they're getting a runaround if they are transferred without their knowledge. And so I would ask that to make sure that they be advised that they are being transferred to another agency. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Belser, for your input. I
would note that me being on the
Get your mic.
I would note that me being on the receiving end of those calls was from prior employment, not here at the PSC.
Yes, ma'am. And Commissioner Belser, regarding the recording, of course, it is treated as an email would be treated. So we would have, as you said, we would maintain that email which would include all the information. And I've just been debating. I think the preference, of course, would be to have the recording transcribed, and that way the information that must be redacted would be redacted. But I appreciate your input about that. That's another.
I just think that's an issue that we need to be cognizant of.
Right.
Because, you know, oftentimes by the time somebody's calling us or calling the Office of Regulatory staff, they are a little agitated and sometimes may blurt out something that they may wish later they hadn't.
Right.
Or I'm really concerned about phone numbers, email, physical
Account
addresses,
numbers.
account numbers,
Right.
things that are classified as customer proprietary information.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. Commissioners, Commissioner Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Boyd, thank you for that presentation. I would just note two things. Number one, as you mentioned about staff intercepting calls, for lack of a better word for us, since I've been here, staff has done a wonderful job of not allowing calls to get to commissioners about a pending matter. And that's not there, as you and I both well know, to avoid the public. It's there to follow the law, and that we don't hear anything that we're not supposed to hear or have communication that we're not supposed to have, because a lot of times members of the general public don't know that. And that said, the one point you mentioned, I would be real insistent that we keep that option 6 that you described, because many times, particularly in some of these night hearings coming up, we have people, as some of the letters have stated, who are a little bit elderly on fixed incomes, and they might just be trying to get an answer. They might not be going where Commissioner Belser suggested to actually submit some kind of complaint that they want in the evidence. They might just be wanting a live body to ask a simple question to, and after a while they get the runaround and you know, just may need to talk to a live body, because as we well know, we hear from these people at these night hearings, and I don't want to leave those out who might not be, you know, might not have the best technology and might not be able to drive to where they need to do, that they are able to get information by calling in here, and even if it means directing them somewhere else. I still think it's real important that we have that option 6 that you mentioned, because when all else fails, that's what somebody's going to do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me commend you on what you've presented and
Thank you, Judge.
the pros and cons. I think that one thing would be helpful, I think, to the commissioner going forward with any technological changes, like the recording that you said would be available next year. When next year, by the way? Do we know?
Judge, all it says is spring 2020.
Right.
So I don't have a more definite date. Yes, sir.
Well, that's not too far away.
That's true.
So I would encourage you to, if we make changes, probably just to do it once and not twice.
Okay.
That would
Okay.
be one
Yes, sir.
suggestion.
Sir.
But I'd also like to get a cost estimate of what the recording system would cost
I
us.
can tell you that
All right.
if you like.
Yes.
So the basic call recording is $12 a user. So, and then for the on-demand, it's $20 per user.
Is that per month?
No, sir. No, that's per month. That's per month, Judge.
Yeah,
You're right.
per month.
You're right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And do we know how many users we're going to need?
Right now, we would need 39.
Okay. I don't have a,
When I
Calculator, but-
calculated the 20 times 39, I came up with 780.
right, per month.
Yes, sir.
And then there's a base charge probably on top of that?
There is a base charge. Now, to be honest with you, Judge Irvin, before I even really thought about the cost, I thought that we might dedicate certain phones to have that. For example, of course, the main number, and then if we need to make a call, we could use the law library as another one. Maybe only have a couple of locations where we use the on-demand.
Okay. I think we, just to get a better picture, because we'll have to be probably a line item in our annual budget request, if maybe we can get a total annual cost projection that would include, you know, not only the equipment, but the lease and the information in terms of installation costs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and she told me, Ms. Freilich actually said, Judge Irvin, that there wouldn't be any other costs other than what I've just told you as it relates to.
So would we be purchasing equipment or leasing?
No, sir. The equipment that we have right now, we own, and I don't want, if I'm recalling correctly, I think under the state contract, any additional phones that we acquire, that's already part of the package. We won't have to pay for any new phones.
All right. The other concern that I have relates to what Commissioner Belser touched on, and that is that we certainly want to balance the confidentiality and
Yes.
privacy aspects of ratepayers and others affected, interested parties against a verbatim transcript of what may have been said. I think that we need to give some more thought to that. I appreciate the general goal, but our staff, as Commissioner Whitfield stated earlier, has done an excellent job of screening calls in the past. And I've been here for 18 months, and I've never received an outside call. I've received calls from our staff,
Right.
but I've never received a call from outside this building, from our outside the PSC offices, confines. So I don't want anyone to think that we're getting all these calls. We're really not. So I guess that's one concern. But more importantly, I share Commissioner Whitfield's concern that people get frustrated when they get recordings, and sometimes it's just comforting to have someone you can ask questions of, because they may not really know the inner workings of the commission and what our duties and responsibilities are. So they often have to be directed to another party or another agency. And so we need to factor that into our consideration, because the last thing we want to do is get a reputation for being inaccessible to the public. I think that would be a mistake. We have to be sure that we have an open line access to information and kind of a helpline, so to speak. So while the technology is all well and good, I really don't see that there's a problem with ex parte communication. We all know what the rules are. We're committed, under our oath of office to abide by the co-judicial conduct, which means no ex parte communication whatsoever. And I've never seen or witnessed or heard of any ex parte communication.
Sir. And I don't see this impacting the commissioners as much as it does staff.
I agree.
Um,
And the public.
Yes, sir, and the public. And so you're right, I can't recall when I've transferred an external call to a commissioner ever.
No, this doesn't happen.
Right, so this is, but staff, we are responsible for, and we're under the same rules you all are.
Right.
And so we too have to make sure that we are, processing and handling that information correctly and in a transparent way. I'm just not concerned about you all, the commissioners. I'm more
Well,
concerned about.
And I appreciate that, but let's just think it through carefully. I don't want to overreact. I'm willing to listen and learn. But before we go out and spend a lot of money and commit ourselves to a system that, may have unintended consequences, let's just think about it carefully. We might want to get some input from the public. We might want to ask for a comment period and see how they would feel about getting a recording with prompts as opposed to speaking to a live operator. Because I know when I try to call my bank, I have about 12 different choices, and it's frustrating because usually the one I need is number 12. It's an inconvenience, and we don't want to appear to be cutting out the informational aspect of what we do, because a lot of people get frustrated. They don't know where to turn, and if they can talk to a live operator, sometimes it's very helpful. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Urban. My bank doesn't want to talk to me either. It's because my wife's there. She screens me out. Commissioner Hamilton.
I'd just like to thank Ms. Boyd for
Yes,
her work and thinking forward. I don't know of anybody right now that I do business with that does not have a procedure like you just presented to us. And if you get the right number, you usually get a person that can give you the right answer. Of course, if you hit the wrong number, you don't. But I think everybody in the public is getting used to this form. And apparently it would be more protective to our staff from anything that could come along legally that could hinder us, and should be a time saver.
Yes, sir.
I would think maybe the less time the employees have to be doing on the phone trying to find the right person, because I know right now Trish gets a lot of calls, and she's got 7 of us that she's got to take care of. So I think it would be a blessing if we could work it out where it would be suitable for all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your help.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions of Ms. Boyd? All right, thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, our last agenda item is to set the 2020 schedule for the Commission's business meetings.
Commissioner Hamilton. Get your microphone on there, Mr. Hamilton.
Missed that button again.
There you go.
I told you, I get in trouble when you hit the wrong button. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we keep with our practice of conducting the Commission's regular scheduled Commission business meeting for 2020 on Wednesday at 2 p.m. as in the past. Thank you, sir. So moved.
Okay, you've heard Commissioner Hamilton's motion. Are there questions or comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And the motion carries. Thank you.
Chairman, that concludes today's agenda.
Thank you. We do have a transportation hearing following this meeting, and we're going to take a short break so we can get reset on all of our technology. And as of that, we are adjourned.